Oh, g'day, Boaz Games. How are you? Oh, there we go. It's just blinked up. There's somebody there. Didn't think there was anybody here. How are you? Two people. G'day, everybody. How are we all? You'll have to excuse the background noise. We've got the wiggles going on. Entertaining the little tacker. I'm about to head off to a birthday party this afternoon, but I had a bit of time up my sleeve, so I thought I'd drop by and say hello to everybody again. How is everyone? Anybody else out there? Boaz Games, where are you from? Oh, we're gonna have some spilt fruit salad. The awesome kitty cat. G'day, mate. How are you going? I'm here with the little tacker today. Say hello, Isabella. Hello, Isabella. Good to hear. That's what we like. Care for reptiles. That'd be a good thing. Where are you based? From Queensland. Yeah, I don't know too much about what charities. I think there's somebody in the Cairns region setting something up similar. But yeah, reptiles. I suppose there's sort of a gap. There's plenty of lost dogs homes and cat shelters, but the more reptiles become mainstream and less of a niche hobby, the more we're going to need something like that. Shelters for all the plain carpet pythons or spotted pythons people breed that nobody really wants. Yeah, they're going to need a home. Shelters and carers and stuff are a good idea. I'll see if Lady wants to come out as well, eh? There we go. Where in Queensland are you? Mum won't let me get any snakes. My favourite animal is crocodilians. She said blue tongues are enough. My parents were exactly the same. And to this day I told them if they had have let me get a snake, I probably would have stopped there. I would have been happy. But when you tell a kid they can't have something, they go out and do the biggest, craziest thing they can. And when I was about 16, I got my first crocodile. And after that, she said, all right, you can have some snakes, just no more crocodiles. So yeah, don't go and do that, by the way. But yeah, you can't blame them. It's their house, their rules, and it's not everybody's interest. But what we could do is gently sort of push and hope you get a little bit closer your way. Be it a dragon or a Cunningham skink or a shingleback, if a blue tongue's okay, maybe they're okay, and they get a little bit further into the hobby. Got to start somewhere. Who else is out there? Where in Queensland are you from, Boaz? Yeah, Isabella's chowing down on banana and apple. Fruit monsters all around. My brother wanted a crocodile. Yeah, I've always had crocodiles. The thing with them is, and it sounds obvious and cliche, but everybody sort of, good morning, g'day Dale, how are you? The thing with crocodiles is a lot of people buy freshies and they go, oh, here's just a freshie. What? It's okay, it's the easy one. A freshie still gets 6 foot long. The record for a freshie is 10 foot 1 inch. And if you can't handle a 6 foot salty, you can't really handle a 6 foot freshie. There's no difference. If anything, freshies for size can often become a little bit harder to handle. There is a few exceptions to the rule. There's a very, very friendly freshie that's pretty famous in Melbourne. But yeah, either way, you're going to have an animal that's going to get around the 2 metre mark at a minimum. Need a 3 by 3 metre shed to keep it. So I think people should be allowed it. But yeah, a lot of people jump on them because they see cute little hatchlings. And who doesn't like a hatchling crocodile, really? But they all grow, don't they? Hey, Isabella. We've got a turtle instead. If you're actually wanting to keep crocodilians, and there's only a few states where you can, turtles, funnily enough, are a good starting place. You're going to learn everything about UV light and filtration and heating and how to set up an aquatic enclosure with turtles. It's the same skill set. It's just the handling of crocodilians, which, I'm not going to say it's harder to do. It's just the mistakes. If you screw up handling a crocodile, it's a lot worse than if you screw up handling a turtle. But yeah, the husbandry skills for small crocodilians before they grow into large enclosures are pretty well the same. So it's a good starting place. Hang on, I'll top up our banana here. My mate tells me off whenever I go looking for snakes because he thinks I'm a nut. Yeah, I understand that. My family think I'm crazy. I work on a farm. I'm out in a country area, and country people and snakes don't often have a very good relationship. And when I ask if I can skip off work for an hour to go and catch a snake for somebody, they think I'm crazy. So, different strokes, I suppose. Obviously, if you're out looking for snakes, all the boring stuff you don't want to hear, be careful. Make sure you always leave habitat as you see it. Field herpers are important people. A lot of stuff that we learnt from reptiles are from experiences in the field. But as it's become more popular and there's more people doing it who maybe don't have as deep an interest, they're just going out for a bit of fun, and that's fine. Herpers have started to get a bad reputation for flipping over rocks and logs and not putting anything back and actually destroying habitat. So yeah, obviously, the whole take nothing but photos and leave nothing but footprints. It's a pretty good rule to stick by when field herping. What you doing over there? I got my #1 fan if you just joined in. There we go. Hey, Isabella. Yeah. Say hello to everybody. So yeah, someone loves me at least. And yeah, I've got a Spiral and lady, our Frilled Neck Dragons, hanging out with us today as well. It's a bit cool in the morning still. Their lights have only turned on about an hour ago, so I was hoping to give them something to eat, but they're not quite keen on it. I usually feed them in the afternoon when they've been warm all day. Got 9 people out there. Who else is watching today? I always put habitat back. Got to look after our wildlife and that. Yeah, that's it. It's obviously you're into fishing. It's no different to fishing. Everything's got to be sustainable. We want our kids to be able to enjoy the hobby that we enjoy and our grandkids to be able to enjoy it as well. Since I was 4, I wanted a snake. Now I'm 13, got a reptile license and promised me a snake. Oh, so g'day Nick, chilly morning here too. Yeah, it's bloody cold here. Not get me a snake. Yeah, so if you're wanting to start a reptile, shelter or carer, I know you hate hearing these sorts of things, but if you're 13, I'd probably get involved in keeping beforehand. Only because there's a lot of people out there who mean well, but they put up these ads on Facebook saying, reptile rescue will take all unwanted reptiles. And, in their minds, they're being a carer and they're giving these animals homes. But to other people in the hobby, they can often get branded with, the label of sort of being a hoarder. I want one of everything and I'll take whatever I've got. So a good thing to do if you're wanting to, and it's a very, noble goal to provide homes for unwanted reptiles. But I'd make sure I've got experience of housing and caring for a wide variety of animals before I just jump into that. Because you don't want to be one of those people who everybody thinks you're just out to get free animals. And unfortunately, all you have to do is look on Gumtree. There's a lot of ads saying, I will take any unwanted reptiles for good home. Hey, Spyro? Got 11 people out there. Who else is watching today? It's the first time I think we're all Australians. Usually I have people from all over the world, but I think it's Friday night over in the US, so they're probably all out partying at the pub. Parza. Not sure what that means. Is that where you're from? And a lot of them don't have a license. Yeah, which, when I first started keeping or wanted to keep, last place I said, yeah, you know what I mean, Gail, like, the people generally mean well. Animals should stay in the wild. I'm not quite in agreement with that. Obviously, nothing should come out of the wild. I'm not for people collecting stuff from the bush. However, there is a whole host of reasons why there's some benefits to keeping reptiles. The one that a lot of people quote is that by keeping captive reptiles, we've got stocks if ever we need to release them to the wild. Is the king brown the same as an eastern brown? They're different species. The king brown's actually a mulga snake in the black snake family, so completely unrelated. King brown's a black snake. Figure that out. But yeah, as far as keeping animals in the wild, yeah, the one that people talk about is we've got captive stocks and we can release into the wild from there. That's not true. All you have to do is look at birds, you know. Gouldian finches are endangered in the wild, but we're not going to release them from captive stocks because we've got all these mutations and colours and things in captivity that don't happen in the wild. So genetically, they're not much good to be used for release. But there's a heap of other benefits in keeping captive animals. Some of the first ones is I think it builds an empathy. The amount of people who, you know, will not swerve to hit a snake on the road now compared to 10 years ago is much better. And I think part of this is because we have good experiences with them, because a lot of people keep them as pets. So, you know, I tell people, you might not have a dog, but if you see a dog hit by a car or you know, skinny and sad in a Facebook video, you feel bad. It pulls at your heartstrings because culturally, we're brought up around dogs, even if you yourself aren't. And we're not going to have this natural empathy for wildlife until we manage to have wildlife in our day-to-day life. So yeah, it builds an empathy. The other things is, it actually helps conservation in a few other ways. A lot of things that zoos have learnt to breed reptiles and birds as well, as Dale, Birds by Australia, if you haven't checked him out, will be able to attest to, is that you know, a lot of things that zoos use were actually discovered by people in the private sector. People privately keeping birds or privately keeping reptiles, who I guess without the public eye have been able to tinker and play around with breeding practices and stumble across a way to breed these animals. They can then write that down, publish it in magazines, whatever. Zoos can take that information and use it to apply into the wild and breed endangered animals. So even though our captive stock in the private sector isn't going to be released, we can learn things that can be applied to release, if that makes sense. And the other really big ones I think that people forget is speak to any wildlife carer. And a wildlife carer will tell you that it's really hard to find a vet who knows much about wildlife. I recently went to a talk by a really good reptile vet, and he was telling me that they spend about one lecture in their 5-year degree talking about native Australian animals. It's bugger all. And the reason for this is you can't blame vets for this because while most of them want to treat, you know, any animal that comes in and needs their help, you're right there. Want to help any animal that needs their help, they've also got to pay their way. So it makes more sense for them to invest in studying cats and dogs and guinea pigs and rabbits and animals that people are going to pay them to look after. You okay? Do you want some more apple? And when we start keeping these animals as pets, suddenly it's possible for vets to actually invest time and money studying like bird care or reptile care. In the same case with native mammals. And today there's several vets around the place who do nothing but birds or nothing but reptiles. So the fact that we've made it financially viable for vets to invest this time researching and learning how to care for more unusual animals means that wildlife carers and animals in the wild and zoos and stuff benefit from this. Yeah, that's it. They can't study or get the education here. They've got to go, like a lot of reptile vets in Australia, they've studied overseas and stuff like that. It's not a small ask. But if there's thousands of people saying, look, I will pay to have my bearded dragon checked up, suddenly it's worth them spending 6 months in America following a reptile vet over there. And everything they learn to look after our captive reptiles, again, can be applied to caring for animals that come in from the wild and need care. So there is a heap of benefits to keeping animals in captivity. That being said, it should be done well. You know, there's no excuse to keep things poorly or anything like this. But we can't stop it because 1 or 2 people do. Are we going to ban keeping cats and dogs? Look how many people keep them miserably. So, you know, I think animals in captivity is got a huge role to play. Certainly do it well, yeah, you know, everybody's got to do it. What species of crocodilians do I own? I have 1 freshie and 1 salty. Little freshie, which actually belongs to the little tacker, Isabella. They were born on the same day. And I've got a 2.5, 3 foot saltwater crocodile as well. I've had quite a few of both over the years, but a couple of years ago I stopped doing shows for a while, moved out to a small country town, and basically gave all my animals to friends, and a few people asked me to start up, so I had to start all over again from scratch and collect everything all over again, which takes some time to build up a collection. Yeah. So yeah, sorry about that rant about captive species, but hopefully you get an idea of my opinions and why it could be a good thing. Anybody else keep reptiles? I know Dale keeps birds, and I know Gay from Gotta Love Carpet Python, she obviously keeps a couple of snakes as well. to another piece. Banana. We still got 9 people out there. Say hello. Let me know what you think about keeping captive animals. I know we've got some people against it, obviously. Some people very much for it. The other thing I think about keeping captive animals. Hi, how are you, Nick? I'm good, thanks. How are you, mate? How is Isabella doing? She's good. She's here we go. Enjoying fruit salad, aren't we, Isabella? So yeah, she's here with me. We've got an hour to hang out here before I've got to pack up and head to a birthday party. But yeah, the other thing I think about captive animals, have a blue-tongued skink, gargoyle gecko, and russell tortoise. I'd love to meet tortoises there. I've got to work with Aldabra tortoises and Indian star tortoises in zoos, but private people, we can't keep tortoises in Australia. Can't keep any exotic reptiles, actually, so only natives, which is fair enough. They have a bearded dragon that won't eat greens. What would you do? Personally, I don't stress too much about greens. I offer it. My beardies live mostly off crickets and woodies, and I know that a lot of websites will tell you they need to eat an awful lot of greens. I live about an hour and a half from where the central bearded dragon starts their habitat, Little Desert National Park, and out there they're going to be eating mostly invertebrate prey. But they're not going to be eating all one thing. So, I mix it up. They get crickets, woodies. I get black-field crickets as well as the domestic crickets. I get grasshoppers and the Lexoteratins. So I mix it up. Put mealworms through any chopped up greens I get. And I even offer things like bottlebrush, native flowers, which, yeah, they're probably going to pick on. Dandelions, yellow. They generally like yellow. So mix up of colours, dice it up real fine, mix some mealworms through it. I'm going to try and persuade my family and teach them not to be scared of snakes. Yeah, and you're right, you don't want to force them. The best way to do these things is through, gentle persuasion. People are entitled to like or dislike animals, but they're not entitled to be cruel to animals. So, I'm not a huge fan of cats. I'm not quiet about that, but I wouldn't wish harm upon anybody's pet cat. For some reason, people think it's socially acceptable. If I say I've got a snake as a pet, they say, oh, the only good snake's a dead snake. Like, imagine if I said that about your border collie. They're allowed to not like snakes. That's okay. But it doesn't excuse cruelty. Just my opinion. You spilt some. True, yeah, that's it. We can't all like everyone. Realistically, we're not all going to like everything, are we? But yeah, the other point I was saying about keeping captive animals, I jump around a fair bit, I'm afraid, is you never know where it's going to lead. And the best example would be Steve Irwin. Think of all the positive change Steve Irwin made teaching people about wildlife. He wouldn't have been in that position if it wasn't for Bob Irwin, his father, who started off as a plumber in Melbourne who kept snakes at home as pets. And he didn't start keeping snakes until he was in his 30s, or late 20s anyway. Back in the day where you're allowed to collect stuff from the wild and they'd go fishing, they'd bring snakes home and they'd enjoy them. And that grew into a passion where he started a wildlife park, raised a son who changed conservation for a lot of people. So, if we banned keeping animals as pets, we might not have things like that. You never know. The kid with a bearded dragon or a blue tongue at home might grow up to make a huge difference. Yeah, that's it. He paved the way for reptiles. A lot of people criticise him in the industry. They say, oh, he didn't teach me all that much. But he wasn't filming for zookeepers and zoologists and biologists. He was filming for the average person. Frillies, they're awesome animals. Just moved back to Vic and trying to get an advanced license. Yeah, frillies are one of my favourite lizards. Especially Spyro here. He's my boy. He goes to most of my shows. Understand, yeah, I don't mean to be lecturing. I understand the other side of it as well, you see so many people keep animals poorly, cats, dogs, horses, reptiles, anything, that it sort of becomes, in a weird way, the lesser of two evils. But I've also seen so much positive come out of keeping captive wildlife that I think it outweighs it. Like anything, we need to manage it. I think, Americans complain about the idea that we have to have permits, and that's, fair enough. I like our permit system. We've got to manage things. Love Steve a lot in his movies and docos. That's why I began keeping crocodile, snakes, and other reptiles. Yeah, I think a whole generation of people Love Jim. Yeah, it does outweigh it. By the way, guys, if you haven't already heard me say before, go check out Gotta Love Carpet Pythons. If you're into keeping animals, and especially if you're a bit hesitant about wildlife in captivity, check out Gay. She's got the best looked after pythons I've ever seen. Sorry, mate, that last message I saw, something about a scandal keeping people back or something. The message disappeared. I don't know how to make them stay up. We'll see if I can figure it out. There you go. On scandal concerning keeping reptiles can't paint the hobby black. You're right. You know, it's no different to, we're not going to ban keeping dogs because people keep dogs poorly, is it? What kind of lizard? This is my Frilled Neck Lizards. I've got Lady, the female. She doesn't like being passed around much, but I've got Spyro, the boy, who does most of my birthday parties, so he's pretty chilled. So yeah, Frilled Neck Lizards or Frilled Neck Dragons. And these guys are Darwin Frilled Neck Dragons. Over in the States you get mostly New Guineas, because obviously Australia can't export. There is a few Australian ones over there. But yeah, I've got the Darwin Frillies. What else do you want, Isabella? There you go. Sorry, I'm entertaining a child at the same time today. 12 people out there. How is everybody? Are we all talking or are we just sitting in the background? Hi, Isabella. Yeah, Isabella's here. Aren't you, Isabella? Watching the cartoons. So, hello, Jobman. Too busy eating the drumstick. Wicked wildlife. This is my first live stream. G'day, how are ya? Do they ever frill up? Your thoughts, Tom Crutchfield, criminal or legend? Just quietly. Once upon a time, it was a criminal. Can't really deny that, can you? Mind you, a lot of people were at the time. But just like I said, you can't paint the industry black with one or two people's actions. You can't judge all the things that he's learnt and contributed to care, especially of some unusual species. So, yeah, he could have done some pretty dodgy things in the past, but still contributed some really good things today. So, you know, nothing's really that black and white, is it? How am I? I'm good, thanks. How are you guys? Hey, Isabella. I don't know how to keep these messages staying up. Oh yeah, that's what I was saying. Do they ever frill up? And what do I think about the export ban? My frillies don't really frill up. Frilled Neck Lizards frill up when they're scared. Spyro especially does birthday parties for a living. Nothing scares him anymore. The other time they do it is when they see another Frilled Neck Lizard, or another male Frilled Neck Lizard, which Spyro's kept by himself, just with the girl. She will occasionally frill up at him if she wants him to bugger off and leave her alone. He'll frill up maybe at cameras sometimes. You can see the reflection of another frilly. There you go, Isabella. As far as what I think about the export ban, it's a really tricky one. I can see why they've got it. They've just taken the all or nothing approach and said that if we open it, how do we know that these animals are going to be captive bred? The issue is wild stuff is already being smuggled out in scarily large numbers. So there is also an argument saying that if we were illegally exporting things, the captive stuff going out would hopefully lower the value of the wild stuff going out to the point where it becomes more viable for people to actually buy captive stuff and export it than go out the bush and catch them. So I obviously don't agree with imports. I don't think we need to risk bringing anything into Australia. But personally, I think a well-controlled export of reptiles from Australia, captive reptiles from Australia, would be potentially a good thing. Well, be a good thing for controlling the bad stuff going on. I've done a couple of shows with my Blue Tongue Bluey for grade 3. Good stuff. Yeah, that's where I started, doing show and tells. Nick keeps everything from crocs to lizards and snakes. Yeah, thanks, Gay. Yeah, I'm not very good at keeping track of these comments. So yeah, Gay, feel free to jump in and answer a few things if I miss them. You know how my videos and stuff work. Can bearded dragons have a soulmate or just leave after? Strictly speaking, they're solitary animals. There's lots of people who say, I've got my two bearded dragons and they live together for years. And people will slaughter me for it. I cohabitate my bearded dragons through all the warm months. But I don't do it in a 2-foot long tank. I do it in a 6 by 10 foot outside enclosure with multiple basking places and hides where they can avoid each other, which is basically the wild. Do you think that snakes are totally solitary? I think it depends on what we define as solitary. I think that there's certainly some snakes that are more than happy to interact with each other. You know, I've flipped over logs and found multiple tiger snakes. I found copperheads and tiger snakes under the same logs together. So, is that solitary? They're not avoiding each other. But I also don't think they interact with each other on an emotional basis alone. I think a male will certainly seek out a female female will seek out a male, and you know, for the stimulation that they certainly might wanting to go and check out what the other thing is. But I don't think they miss each other. I think if I pulled out a female snake and I put in another female snake, sure, he might react differently going, oh, is this one going to hit me back or something? But I don't think you're still thinking about the last female, if that makes sense. I know there's plenty of people who have, and yourself probably included, who you know, have other opinions, but I'm now subbed watching Wicked Wildlife, be following along with your adventures. Have a great day. No worries, guys. Thanks for dropping by. Yeah, check out our other videos. What's my favourite crocodilian species? The salty. Yeah, salty's pygmy freshwater. I know they're only freshwater crocodiles taxonomically speaking, but the pygmy population of freshwater crocodiles I think are really cool. Yeah, I'd love to meet pygmy freshwater crocodiles, you know, in the wild. But yeah, saltwater crocodiles are pretty hard to beat as well. What's your? Oh, you've obviously said the salty. It's pretty hard to go past saltwater crocodiles, isn't it? If you're gonna like something, you want the biggest, baddest boy on the block. What's my favourite lizard? Shingleback lizards, probably. Yeah. Where did I get those frillies from? They're stunning. They were bred by a local bloke in Melbourne. Yeah, so captive bred, second or third generation captive born. Gail, I missed your message before. Something about timber rattlesnakes. I did read. I didn't go through the whole research paper, but I did read a study on rattlesnakes seek out their family members for years. Yeah, I suppose it's hard to measure the reason why, and that's, we can't get in the brains of reptiles, does it? I suppose you've got people on one end of the spectrum, people on the other, where, well, they seek each other out because, you know, they're going to the same places and they're just used to that. Cunningham skinks. We know that Cunningham skinks can tell family from non-family. There's a study done that they selectively avoid breeding with animals that they're related to. We don't know how, but they do. I was reading that the other day. That's where I got one of my blue tongues from, who rescues who breeds them. Yeah, you know, everything should come, unless you're a very advanced keeper and you've got legal permission to go and collect something for a conservation sort of issue. Like zoos from time to time get permission to take in wild born. On a captive basis, I think everything should, you know, be born in captivity. And there's breeders of just about everything, you know, so no reason to go taking stuff from the wild, especially bearded dragons and blueies and stuff. There's so many of them in captivity that we can leave the wild ones alone. We've got all we need for an enjoyable hobby without impacting on the environment. Yes, please don't take the pride. Yeah, spot on, you know. Why? Ones in the wild, they don't offer any benefits. I love reading studies. Think more people should do it. Yeah, I've got to admit, I was getting pretty lazy with reading research. Up until a few weeks ago, I started listening to a podcast, Herpetological Highlights, and another one on Australian wildlife cake and cocktails, where they review 2 papers every time. And I'm starting thinking maybe I should start reading more of these papers because it gives me more ideas for videos that I can bring you guys. And I'd really like, you know, I sort of like the idea of taking some of this scientific jargon and turning it into terms that everybody can understand, which is what I basically think the zookeeper's role is take what a zoologist learns and turn it into something that Joe on the street can understand. Doing with my snakes, studying them. Yeah, I kind of wish that more people were able to self-publish these days. You know, I remember it was only 10 years ago with Monitor magazines, with the VHS, that there was papers every few months being published by private people like us, writing down what they'd found and having published papers from the private sector, which I think would be a good thing. You were right there. My other blue tongue over his rescue, I found him in a dog's mouth and have had him ever since. Yeah, you know, stuff comes in from the wild from time to time, and I can't criticise that. When I was a kid, I found blue tongues in the backyard and little garden skinks. I took and put them in tanks, and when I couldn't figure out to feed them, I'd let them go again. So, you know, I can't wave my fist in the air at people doing that. I just think that there is so much captive-born stuff. We don't need to be going out and finding things and taking them into the wild. It's obviously different if something, needs care, but ideally it can be released where it was found again. Too scientific written. I want to keep up fairly simple. Yeah. That's it. That's why I sort of enjoy being in the middle, reading scientific stuff and explaining it to everybody else. Dad. Speaking of rescuing blue tongue, I remember the days of catching garden skinks. Yeah, well, they're always fun to catch garden skinks, I think. But yeah, speaking of catching blue tongues and releasing them, I was at a talk recently by Simon Wotherow. If you haven't checked out Reptiles Victoria, check them out. And he was talking about how mites, which were brought here by the captive industry. Hang on. You're right. There you go. We dropped our apple. How mites, which were brought in by the captive reptile trade, are really affecting blue tongue skinks in some areas in Melbourne. Gotta go. Bye. See you, mate. Have a good one. And one of the issues is, people catch a blue tongue skink. They can't see that it's got mites because, unless they're really, really infected, to the naked eye, you can't see much, especially on a lizard where they get in ears and stuff. Snakes, you can often see them around the eyes or the nostrils. But basically they found that by taking this blue tongue lizard, rescuing it from your dog, and the amount of people who say, I'm going to take it down to the national park and let it go, meaning well, they're accidentally releasing mites in this area. And while the adults in blue tongues are generally big enough and they've got enough condition, they do okay. What Simon found is babies were hit really, really hard. Mites suck blood. And eventually they get more and more infected to the point they become anemic. So yeah, there is an argument that if we're going to rescue an animal, it's got to be released where it was found, or as close as possible to where it's found. We don't want to risk moving mites or any diseases from one population to another. John, do my parents work with animals? No, my parents don't like animals. So they're not involved in wildlife keeping or caring at all. My dad does own sheep properties where I work on a sheep property, but he doesn't work with animals himself, no. That's some good apple, isn't it, Isabella? That said, not everybody can work with animals. We need teachers and doctors and lawyers and people building roads and all these sorts of things, don't we? If we all worked with animals, there wouldn't be much going on. It's sad, but I still got to where I wanted to be. I still get to work with animals every day. I just had to do it off my own back rather than inheriting it. They say sheep are dumb, but I think they're smarter than something. Anybody who says sheep are dumb have never tried to outsmart sheep. I've got a team of pretty good work dogs, and the sheep know the weaknesses of each and every dog, especially the older ewes. There's also a fair bit of science saying that sheep have incredible spatial awareness. So, what sheep go through a set of yards. We're talking about sheep now on a wildlife podcast, wildlife video, so excuse it. But they know where every gate is. They know, and it's a very basic prey thing. Prey survive by knowing where safety is. Want to be a zookeeper when you grow up? Good stuff. It's a good goal to have. I was a zookeeper for a while. At a couple of different facilities, Billabong Sanctuary in Townsville and Murray Koala Park and Ballarat Wildlife Park. Zookeeping's a good ambition. Unfortunately, we don't get paid as what we deserve, zookeepers. But it's certainly a great industry. Mum and Dad are fine with the blue tongues and hate the idea of me getting snakes or crocs or even other lizards. Get them when I move out. I know it sucks, but that's kind of fair enough. It's their house. They pay the mortgage, don't they? Never left the yard when I had him tied up. Yeah. We've got bottle lambs at the moment because we're lambing, or just finished lambing, and we got 4,000 sheep at work, so we've reared about 6 or 7 at home, and they sleep on the back doorstep. But yeah, as what you were saying, your parents won't let you keep snakes. It sucks, but it's kind of fair enough. They own the house. All you can do is just gently push that way. And if they won't let you keep snakes, but they'll let you keep blue tongues, like I said, maybe something like a bearded dragon or a water dragon or a Cunningham skink would be a step up. Oh, okay, we'll get picked up. Maybe something, like a more technically involved lizard to keep. All males tend to. Oh, I missed that comment, Jobin. Thanks there you go. I'll see if I can bring him back up. Can cockatoos talk? Yeah. Most of the cockatoo family talk very well. Most parrots, in my experience, can. And yeah, people say males talk better. I've had a couple of females that talk very well. But yeah, males, basically, think about it in the wild. It's the male's job to impress the female. So most of the, very sort of technical bird calls we hear in the wild are generally the males. So it makes sense. The male's going to be more interested. I don't think the female's less capable. I just think the male's more inclined to make noise. My grandma had a cockatoo that can talk. Yeah, I used to work at a zoo, and we used to get cockatoos. Well, I've just said I've worked at zoos, but we used to get cockatoos abandoned with us all the time because people would be like moving out of home and they'd buy this cockatoo from mum and dad to help with the empty nest syndrome, and nobody else would touch this bird for 30 years. Cockatoos live a lot longer than that. So when mum and dad had passed away, the kids go, well, what do we do with this bird? And they used to just dump them at our wildlife park. So we had about 6 cockatoos living in a cage that said all sorts of bizarre things. One would tell you to get down from there. So the things that this bird must have shouted at him. Oh, I don't want to be on a video. Does Isabella know how to walk and talk yet? She says dad, but that's about it. I know, the cartoons are still on. Check it out. She says dad, but that's it. And she's still crawling around. What's my favourite colour breed of blue tongue? I generally don't have a huge interest in colour morphs with reptiles in general, but there's something about melanistic blue tongues I really like, just jet black blue tongues. I'd love to get a couple of melanistic blue tongues. As far as colour, the centrillion blue tongue would be my favourite species, that bright red, big fat heads. Yeah, I love centrillions. I used to keep them, and I gave them away when they weren't worth all that much money, and I moved house, and I gave them to a friend, and today they're very hard to get. Grandson is 19 months old and still at work. Oh, don't tell me that. Isabella's getting heavy enough to carry around already. For those, I do love the jet black though, yeah. Especially, not that I've got so much of an interest in the others, but what people have done with the black, crossing it to the albino and producing larvas and stuff like that, is really cool. If you're into blue tongues, check out Josh's Wildlife Photography. It's a Facebook page. He does a live stream on Facebook every Saturday night. And this, tonight, I'm pretty sure he's talking to Joe Ball, who's the blue tongue morph man. What's up? The roof. What's east? The ocean. But yeah, there's some really cool blue tongues out there. And again, I used to be staunchly anti-colour morph. They might not be my interest, but I used to be, very against them. And today I've sort of said, well, if they get more people involved in reptile keeping, which as a result brings about all those other benefits, because I guess it took me a while until I worked in zoos before I realised that captive-born stuff in the private sector, it's not like we're spoiling captive genetics with morphs, because they're not going to look at captive genetics, privately kept captive genetics, for release anyway. Warming to them a little bit, I've sort of realised that, it's not ruining the conservation side. Do I ever remove snakes and relocate them from people? Yeah, I do from time to time. Being in Victoria, where our season's only just starting now, we only get snakes through a small part of the year. I used to remove snakes pretty well full time for mines in outback Queensland. So yeah, people would dig a 10k trench, and every day I'd have to go and pull all the snakes and lizards and frogs and echidnas out of the trench. We're gonna crawl away. I see you over there. Yeah, you're busted. I'm from Vic2 Bendigo. A friend of mine, Chris Page, has got TZR Reptiles, or TRZ Reptiles. A really good demonstrator. He's based in Bendigo. If you're into wildlife, maybe send him a message as well. Wildlife Spot. Yeah, Wildlife Spot. I checked out your channel. I haven't gone through your videos yet, but there looks to be a few cool ones. Things on squirrels and all sorts of... is it British wildlife? So yeah, for people who are interested, we talked last time about whether people would be interested or not, or whether it would be worth me setting up a Patreon page, because I've been really hesitant to do it. It seems like you're blowing your own trumpet a little bit. But yeah, so the last couple of days I've started putting together a Patreon page, which is now live. It looks pretty rubbishy at the moment. I haven't got some images and videos and stuff up there. But for people who are interested in helping support the channel, there's a couple of things that are my real goal with it. I want to, sorry I'm late. No, don't be sorry. Maybe I'm early, who knows. But yeah, there's a couple of things that I'd really like to do. I live 4 hours from the nearest capital city. So, Dorset of the UK. That's cool. I've got Dorset sheep. I think they might come from Dorset, England originally. But yeah, a couple of things I'd like to do is make some more road trips. I want to go visit some other reptile keepers and show you some animals that I don't necessarily have. Hang on. Come back here. I see you there. So yeah, a little bit of Patreon money will go towards helping visit some other people. I've been telling Jake from Aussie Reptiles that I will visit him for months. He works at Lilydale High School with one of the most amazing reptile collections I've ever seen at a school, which is amazing, brilliant. So I'd like to go visit him, do a few other road trips around. And the other thing I'd really like to do is build a new reptile shed close to the house. And the reason being is I want it to be within internet reception because I live on a farm, I don't have internet. So I can do live streams from the reptile shed with feeding and cleaning and stuff like that, which I've always sort of said I'll probably steer clear of because other people like Aussie Reptiles, Coop's Reptiles and Australian Pythons and other reptiles. There's plenty of other channels that do keeping and captive stuff really, really good. But a lot of people have said, look, I'd be interested in taking your take on it. So I don't think I'm ever going to do how to care for bearded dragons. But yeah, I think I might, if I can build this new shed close to the house, do some videos there and show you how, just my spin on captive care. Do I like chinchillas? I've never got to meet one. They're not available. That's a lot of work. Yes, it is. I do. I've got a fair few animals to care from. Good way to have other opinions. Yeah, you know. I suppose I was just hesitant to throw my opinion in with everybody else. There's so much good stuff out there. But you know, people want it, so I thought, why not? I'll see what I can do. But yeah, so if you're interested in that Patreon, check out patreon.com/wickedwildlife. Share it with your friends and I'll see what I can get doing. We'll try and get some further afield videos and visit some zoos. And why not? We all do. True, you know. What do we have opinions for if not to throw them around? Spyro is halfway to walking back to his enclosure. Have I appeared on a TV show? No, not really. I've been on the news from time to time. Not as me, I suppose. Just when I was working at zoos, they were filming koalas or something. Sorry, working at wildlife parks and zoos. They'd come and film koalas and do an ad for the place, and I'd have to hold the koala for the journalist. Where do you keep the crocs? In the reptile shed, yeah. So my Salty's got a 9-foot enclosure. I don't use aquariums for the bigger crocs. I think they outgrow that really quickly. I've got a pond sunk into, like, imagine a 9-10 foot long reptile enclosure that's tall enough you can walk into because it's safest to be able to stand over a croc and catch him. With a 1.8 metre pond, yeah. And the little freshie's, in a 3-foot glass aquarium at the moment, but he'll move into the similar sort of setup. But yeah, hopefully I can build this new shed before I have to build him a setup, which will be a year or two away anyway. Because it's going to be a big job to move. Good morning, Shannon. How are you, mate? I'm headed out roughly that direction today. I've got a birthday party in Ballarat to do. So 2 hours from here. So yeah, sorry, Drummond, haven't been on TV. But, you know, you guys get to watch me on YouTube. Who needs television? Who else is still here? Drop in for a coffee. Where are you? Melton, I think. I'd love to go further because I'd love to go further in, but I've got to try and get back here and get a few things done. So yeah, I was looking at heading out towards Bacchus Marsh, but I don't know if I'm going to have the time by the time I get to Ballarat. I'll see how I go. But I'm umming and ahhing about going to the VHS meeting on Wednesday. So if I do, I might be able to swing by. YouTube is the best TV in the world to watch. Yeah, you know. YouTube's good. I think it means that the average person can get what they believe out there. Does it ever snow in Australia? And do I take crocs to shows? Yeah, every show I do, I try and take a crocodile. Usually the Salty, just because I don't like taping up small crocodiles. And under our permit conditions, I have to take crocodiles up when they're used at shows. So the Salty does most of them, and the Freshie I have to rotate him through. So if I have 3 shows in a day, 3 shows, 3 days in a row, I won't make the same crocodile do all 3. 2 days in a row is my maximum for any one animal, and the Freshie means that I can rotate them. But yeah, always bring crocodiles to shows. Does it snow in Australia? Yeah. No, I used to go up the snow every year, but we don't get snow, I guess, down here where everybody lives. You've got to go up the mountains, up the high country. Mount Kosciuszko's got snow on it still, and it's spring. It's still snowing season up there. It's still skiing season up there. Yeah, used to go up there snowboarding every year. I imagine it snows where you are, John, and everywhere in America is cold, isn't it? Except maybe Nevada or something like that, Arizona. You right? Do you want a hand up? There you go. You're gentle with the lizard. Gentle. Oh. I'm here. G'day, mate. How are you? Dynamic Sid. Cool name. Does anybody else out here? Is that a lizard tattoo? It's a crocodile. Yeah. There we go. Tribal crocodile. What is my favourite crocodilian outside Australia? Ooh, hard to say. I've got to work with American alligators a fair bit, and I really like them. I'll put Spyro back before he runs away. Yeah, American alligators are pretty cool. I've been reading up a bit about tomistomas after I've, listened to a few things on podcasts, and they're sort of mysterious. So much we don't know about tomistomas. I don't know. There's too many pics. I always wanted, after visiting San Diego Zoo, the West African dwarf crocodiles. They're like 4.5 foot long, like chunky alligator heads on a real crocodile. That'd be cool. Too many to pick. What's yours? Do you have a favourite non-Australian crocodilian? There's a hell of a sentence. Does anybody else out here with their own channels? I can chat is it, and we can all share the love a bit. I'll have to head off before too long as well. You can go back as well, lady. Enjoy your lives. So what's new with me? Oh, not too much. I do the same thing every day, 7 days a week. A few hours of farm work, feed my animals and take my animals to shows, yeah. But yeah, one thing is new, I was saying a minute ago, I'm not sure if you heard, that yeah, we set up a Patreon account so that people can, I guess, help support us and try and do some more videos. Connor Bonds Fishing, changing Connor's wildlife and fishing. So yeah, guys, check out Connor's Wildlife and Fishing. That sounds cool, especially if you're a fishing fan. Like that tattoo, yeah, thank you. It's actually, I've had it for years, but it ended up being my business logo. If you check out our Facebook page, all my business cards and stuff, it's got that tribal crocodile on it. Gotta go, Nick. Catch you again soon. Love to the family. Thank you, Gay. You too. Hug your pythons for me. Yeah, so people sort of look at it and go, oh, geez, you got your business logo tattooed on you? I'm like, well, no, it was my tattoo a long time before I thought it would be a good business logo. But yeah, I think it's cool. Who else is still out there? We've gotta love carpet pythons. I will. I bet you will. You don't need me to tell you to do it to go take them out, do you? I'll tell all mine you said hello as well. We've got to do some feeding and cleaning out there tonight. Who else have we still got? Usually we've got a lot of Americans sort of jumping on. But yeah, I think it must be Friday night out there and they're all partying at the local pub. 10 people. Someone got to say love carpet pythons. Something. Have you ever fed an animal a live lunch? I feed live invertebrates, so crickets, insects basically, and live fish. But live feeding of rodents is illegal down here, and even if it wasn't, it's very much frowned upon. So I don't feed live mice, rats, rabbits, chickens, anything like that. And the reason is all animals with a backbone do I think monitors need UV. I'll go to live feeding first, but basically all animals with a backbone, with the exception of fish, here in Victoria, are covered by the prevention of... Dad. All vertebrates, backbone animals, other than fish, are covered by the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals Act. So in a legal sense, there's no difference with feeding a live mouse as feeding a live puppy. So we can't feed live rodents. The other reasons being is there's no real benefits to feeding live. People talk about it being the enrichment, but I give a defrosted rat to my snakes and they still, 9 out of 10 of them, will still hit it, coil it up, and in their heads they kill it. So they haven't got any enrichment that they wouldn't out of Just sold your frillies. I saw one of your frills for sale for ages, but it was a male. If it was a girl, I would have jumped on it. It was hard not to bite when I saw it. Yeah, I'm glad you found a home at least. It sucks to move anything on there. Cauchin Indian brown snake on this didn't strike really calm. Yeah, browns are have a reputation for being real flighty, and my brown, if you've seen my brown snake video, is fairly cruisy, but when she gets going, she's quite a tricky snake to handle. Oh yeah, that's what it is. What do I think about monitors needing UV? I give all my monitors UV light. I don't know the science for it either way, but I think a good rule of thumb is if an animal spends a large amount of time basking, it's safer to give it UV light. I'd rather be, in 10 years' time, when we get scientific literature saying they need it or they don't need it, I'd rather be the person who said, well, I've given it to them just in case. Make a video giving a tour of my farm. I suppose I could. The problem is it's a working farm, so it's messy and it's not real nice, but maybe I will one day. See a video of me feeding my animals. Love watching lizards eat crickets. I did a video on my Frilled Neck Lizards and my enclosure a few months ago. If you flick back, you'll see it, and you'll see Spyro eating out of my hand, eating some mealworms and things. But yeah, if I build this new reptile shed, unfortunately, my current reptile shed, it doesn't have internet reception, so I can film videos and edit them and do them. I filmed a red-bellied black snake about a year ago, but haven't got around to uploading it. I think is that the same one you told me about when I did my red belly video? You commented saying you filmed one. What do I feed my crocs? The big fella gets chicken giblets and chicken livers and chicken hearts and things like that. Unlimited fish, I buy fingerling perch and stuff for $1 each. You don't want to feed too much goldfish. They can cause a thiamine deficiency in them, which is why like seabirds and albatross and all those sorts of things, they shouldn't be fed nothing but goldfish either. And yeah, a couple of mice and day-old chickens and stuff on top of that. The little fella is got crickets, moths, guppies, those sorts of things. There. I used to have a 7.5 foot crocodile. She ate full-grown rats, half rabbits. Yeah, bigger prey, obviously. Rats are an expensive prey to feed a crocodile because you go through a few of them, and rats are fairly dear. Yes, yeah, well, you'll have to edit it and put it up. I haven't got to check out some of your videos for a while. What else have people said? Monitors need UV. Yeah, I think I answered that for you pretty well. Like I said, I think we should err on the side of caution. A lot of people... well, I went to a vet with Shane Simpson, and he was saying he gives all his snakes UV as well. Do I have a dog? If so, what kind? What tricks can they do? I've got 7 dogs. I've got 3 coolies, a Kelpie, who are work dogs. So then I can't do tricks, but I can send them out to a paddock and they bring sheep back from a few hundred meters away. It's pretty cool. And you know, work-related stuff. My yard dogs, I've got 2 dogs that bark when they're told to bark, but it's not a trick. It's, you know, if the sheep aren't moving, they can bark when I tell them to. We've got a Malamute who belongs to my partner, and we've got a dingo. So, yeah. So that's 6. We had a staghound, but he's gone to live with a friend. He just didn't get used to all the chickens and stuff running around here. So he's gone off to another home where he can be a good rabbiting dog. Bear, not too many other actual tricks, but they're all obedient. Oh. Do you have a dog, Jomin? And what tricks do your dogs do? We love these cartoons. Don't have one. Oh, I'm sorry. You'll have to get one day. Every bloke needs a dog. We've also got a little Maltese Shih Tzu thing that belongs to my mother-in-law. It's here every week. Have I ever been bitten by a venomous snake? No, I've never had a venomous bite. I was actually bitten by a brown tree snake, which all the venomous snakes in Australia are what we call lapids, which are front-fanged venomous snakes. They've got hollow fangs, they inject venom. And we've got one family called colubrids, which only one of our colubrids or colubrids, either way, tomato, tomato. All our colubrids are non-venomous except for the brown tree. And they've got their fangs at the back of their mouth, so they chew their prey to get venom in. And they've got a grooved fang, so it sort of dribbles down, so it's not as effective. and it's very mild. It's about the equivalent of a bee sting. A lot of people have no effect, and some people can be allergic. I was bitten by one of them. Turns out I'm in the group of people who have zero effect. So yeah, I tell people no venomous bites. I've never been bitten by a really venomous snake, just that brown tree snake, and that was catching him out of somebody's roof in Queensland. Have I ever had to rescue and nurse badly injured animals? I take in a fair few captive-born animals that aren't looked after, but I can't actually take in animals from the wild. So here in Victoria, we have a different set of permits for being a wildlife carer versus being a wildlife educator. So I have permission to take and look after and breed and keep and sell captive-born wildlife. If I find, and I get given and called about a fair few orphaned and injured animals, just because people know my business, and I usually pick them up and drop them straight off to a wildlife carer who's got the separate permits. So yeah, I can't take injured possums and things like that, but I have my own possums. Have I ever been bitten by a spider? No. Have I been bitten by a crocodile? Yes, I've had a couple of bites from 2 and 3 and 4 foot crocodiles, which hurt. And I was bitten on the foot by a 2-meter alligator. I was wearing steel cap boots though. It actually put a dent in the steel cap, but I was completely okay. Luckily it didn't roll. I would have pulled my leg off or something. But I was 19 and thought I knew everything and didn't get my foot out of the way in time. Never had a bad bite. Crocodilian. The worst bite I've had from any animal is a koala. I was sent to hospital after a koala bit me and it got infected. So yeah, it's always the cute fluffy stuff you want to like hold against your face. That's the stuff you've got to worry about. There's 4 million years of instinct telling you to be careful with snakes. Sounds dangerous. Yeah, koalas. Dangerous critters, koalas. Big claws on them. Have I seen animals die in front of me? Well, yeah, it's a sad reality. I had a koala looked after a koala called Crusher, who had toxoplasmosis from feral cats, and poor boy, I basically had to hand feed him gum leaves one at a time until he basically passed away. He had a hard ending. And the reality of being a zookeeper, I've had to euthanize and put down animals with broken legs, injured animals. So yeah, you can't be a zookeeper without dealing with death, unfortunately. Drop bears, yeah, that's it. Been bitten by a 2-foot freshie. Yeah, you'd know he's there. You're right. Yeah, a 2-foot crocodile is not gonna, send you off to the hospital in an ambulance, but yeah, you'll certainly know that he's there. It can hurt. Didn't hurt though. No. Oh, well, you're luckier than me. I was bitten by a 3.5-foot salty, and I was catching him up, and he didn't close on my hand. He managed to scrape his teeth down. So yeah, it stung like bejesus, but it wasn't a bad injury by any stretch. Have I seen thorny devils? I've seen one in captivity, but no, I haven't got a chance to go out to Central Australia and look at them. They're 12 hours drive from where I am. We're going to play with the lights. Here we go. What comments on this? Why do some vegetarian animals have sharp teeth and don't eat meat? I don't know if you've seen a video of Boo, my wombat, but she's got very sharp incisor-like teeth. And often plant-eater or herbivorous animals that eat like rough foliage, things like ferns and browsers, pick stuff off trees rather than grass, they're going to have sharp incisors to be able to cut. Try cutting the grass with a blunt blade on your lawnmower, and you'll realise why sharp teeth are sometimes required to eat plants. So they've all got blunt molars at the back for grinding it up with. But yeah, you still need sharp, just like a pair of secateurs, to get through, especially woody plants. Have I ever ate an emu egg? No, I haven't. Make a hell of an omelette though. Yeah, I've hatched an emu egg. Couldn't have eaten him though. A friend of mine ate a crocodile egg once, and it was disgusting. It doesn't cook properly. But yeah, that's the reason why a lot of plant-eating animals have sharp teeth. Even us, we're still got our front incisors. They're designed for picking. Bite into an apple, they're the teeth you're going to use. Loved how Steve Irwin never did any tricks like the alligator handlers do. Yeah, I don't want to bash on alligator wrestling. But yeah, I've got nothing. Can you ride an emu? Yeah, ostriches are a fair bit bigger than emus. Emus are the second tallest bird in the world, third heaviest. You could probably ride them, but it wouldn't be good for the emu. So no, we'll say no. But yeah, you know, I think our wildlife should be exciting enough the way it is. So I used to do crocodile shows, and you know, depends what you call tricks. We used to get them to jump for their food. We weren't getting them to jump to do a trick. We're getting them to jump to show people, you know, if there's a bat or something on a tree, this is what a crocodile is capable of. So if you're doing a trick, as in capturing a natural behavior and getting it to do that on cue to show people, that I've got nothing wrong with. If you're doing a trick to show, look what I can get away with this animal, it's a whole different kettle of fish. That's an ego thing. And I don't think there's room for that in wildlife these days. It's very much a past generation. Same with snakes and things like that, you know. If you've seen my snake videos, I personally, and a lot of people like them, I don't like, you know, the snake's hanging by its tail and it's trying to bite me. And I've got snakes like that. But if I'm going to film a snake like that, I will handle it until it's relaxed, because that's the image I want everybody else to have of snakes. You know, I don't want to have an animal that's stressed out for 15 minutes on camera. So if you watch my snake videos closely, there's lots of little cuts where as soon as the snake's starting to get nervous or unsure, I'll pop him down, let him settle himself, pick him up and continue on. Because I think they're exciting enough as is without making them scary. What's my favorite lizard? Shingleback lizards, probably my favorite lizard, yeah. What was my favorite, hang on. What's my favorite pet snake? Well, that's a hard one. At the moment, I've got a soft spot for, I'm sorry, Isabella. At the moment, I've got a big breadlie, big centrillian carpet python that was donated to me. Somebody hadn't handled him for 2 years. He'd been left in a tank in his own filth, and they said, oh, he might not ever get handleable. And he's a dream. So at the moment, he's probably my favorite snake, but it changes every week. Hi, I just popped on there. Did I miss the frilled neck? I can get a frilled neck out for you again. There's Spyro. There's Spyro. So, yeah, my favourite snake's probably not the answer you want, but it changes all the time. Gentle. Have I ever met a black mamba? No, I don't think there's any mambas in captivity in Australia. Obviously, we don't have them in the wild. And I haven't got to do much overseas travelling because nobody wants to look after 150 reptiles. But, yeah, gentle. Good girl. So, yeah, I haven't met a black mamba. I'd absolutely love to, though. Do I own blue tongues? Yeah, I have a few blue tongue lizards. They're all asleep at the moment. They stuck their heads out the other day. We had a 20-degree day. But my blue tongues are all outdoors. So yeah, all still in brumation. Yeah, pretty cool. Yeah, we like him. Normal morphs. Yeah, I don't have any morph blue tongue lizards. If you are in a morph, I said at the beginning of the video, check out Josh's Wildlife Photography. It's a Facebook page. Tonight he's doing a live video with Joe Ball, who is the blue tongue morph man. That's cute. My kid wants to handle a lizard. Yeah, you know, well, she's got her own crocodile, so she's got to learn to start handling wildlife sooner or later. Somebody's got to do shows when nobody wants to listen to me anymore. Yeah, somebody's got to do shows when nobody wants to listen to me. Gentle. Yeah. Joe Ball is cool, yeah. I've never got to deal with him much, but I've only ever heard good things. People buy from him and nobody's ever had an issue. And, you know, I've listened to a lot of his videos and podcasts that he's been on and things, and he is, you know, one of our generation's legends in reptiles. So, yeah, very excited to watch a video with Joe Ball tonight. Okay. Have I ever had an animal poop and pee on you? Most days of the week, I get pooed on or peeped on by something. If it's not an animal, it's this one. A grumpy baby. Yeah, no, I don't think I've met a zookeeper that doesn't get pooed on by something. Where were the alligators that I used to work with? Ballarat Wildlife Park. Used to do alligator shows every week. So crocodile shows are on the Saturday, alligator shows are on the Sunday. And yeah, they're a whole different kettle of fish. Yeah, they were a lot easier to work with. in the respect that you could, work closer with them. We had one alligator that that I was comfortable getting into the water with, down on my knees to move him if I was cleaning, whereas I would never do that with a crocodile the same size. On the flip side, because they're easier to work with, I think they're also easier to fall into the trap of taking them for granted. I don't know anybody who's had a bad injury from one, but I can see that it'd be a lot easier for somebody to take bigger risks with the gator. With the crocodile, most people are, hopefully fairly cautious. Sorry for all the questions about crocodiles. No, that's what I'm here for, mate. If nobody asks questions, I sit here in silence. Had a 6-foot olive python poop down my back. I have one olive python. No, it's a crocodile tooth. It comes from a crocodile called Belladonna, who lived in Townsville. The tooth got stuck in the pole that I used to feed with one day, and decided to keep it, put it on a necklace. I had to buy a tooth necklace, pull the tooth out, and put the tooth I wanted in. But real crocodile tooth. Oh yeah, 6-foot olive python. I have one olive python that on 4 or 5 occasions, people have said, "Oh, is he going to poop on me?" I said, "Oh, he eats once a fortnight, so he probably poops once a fortnight. You'll be right." And straight away, all down some poor kid. So, yeah, olive pythons and scrubbies are even worse for it. They just hold it until somebody's agitating them. They let it go. How do you preserve the tooth? You don't have to preserve them. It's no different. Your tooth falls out when you're a kid. Your mum can put it away somewhere and it's fine years later. Teeth last longer than bones. Bringing that one back up. Been to Wildlife Park and went to the croc show. Yeah, so I used to do the alligator show only because I used to work Sundays and have Fridays that day off. But I did a lot of croc shows in Townsville with big salties up there. It's changed a fair bit since I worked at Ballarat. But yeah, I miss working with the alligators there. They were good fun. If I missed anybody else's questions. I think we got them all. Oop. So guys, what I might do, I might wrap it up there. We've been on here for an hour and a bit, and you all got to meet my grumpy child and Spyro the Frilled Neck Dragon. Do I plan on going to Gatorland at all? What, in America? I'd love to visit America, but it's hard for me to get somebody to look after all these animals. So maybe when I'm set up a bit better, next couple of years I can hopefully get overseas. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. As I said a couple of times, if you are interested in helping out, or even if you can't, but you think somebody else will, check out our Patreon account. I've only just set it up. A few of you guys suggested it. But yeah, patreon.com/wickedwildlife. Do I agree with SeaWorld keeping animals better off the ocean? It's hard to say. I think some of them might do fine and some of them probably won't. Killer whales, maybe not. Dolphins, they're very well documented to breed in captivity, seem happy. But yeah, check out that patreon.com/wickedwildlife if you, aren't in a position to help out yourself. Share it around your friends. The more love we get, the more I can bring you guys videos from further afield. Visit friends, zoos, interstate collections and stuff and show some really cool stuff. But thanks for watching, guys, and have a good one and take care.